Introducing your host, David Daniels II. If you made it to my channel, you are in the right place to be, so make yourself feel at home. And I want to say, welcome to Free Game. Here we discuss a lot of topics on self-growth, so you're going to leave out of here with some positive vibes, alright? I want to say, make sure you like and subscribe if you like what you see. Appreciate it. Alright, so welcome to Free Game. We are going to talk about music. We are going to talk about the creative process of making music. And a few things that I want to focus on is, so my process of making music is basically, I am currently writing about Free Game, and everything that I choose to write about is different topics. Usually I let things come to me. I'll pick a beat from YouTube, and I'll let the creative process be the creative process. So a lot of times I want to clear my mind, and I'll find something that, stands out. I'll fish around to make sure if I got some instrumentals that's, that I already saved, or I'll just go looking for different instrumentals from certain camps, and I'll kind of go from there. A few of the camps that I have chose, this new one that I'm writing is called Uncertainty, and basically, it's a laid back instrumental. Like I said, it's called Uncertainty, and I always try to give myself 24 hours. I don't like to rush music, but I just started this, so by today or tomorrow, I'll have some stuff down packed and things written. I do have to get to that process of everything that I have written down. I have to record. So, and I'm behind. I ain't gonna lie. So, I currently have 78 completed songs or verses, long verses that I have written down. Now I just have to get to a point where I'm actually recording, the music that I have put out so far. So I feel like I'm gonna get to that point. It is a process. Like I say, I will say, if you are into writing, sometimes you don't have to rush, whatever you choose to write about. Let stuff come to you. And you might don't go seeking inspiration. Let inspiration just come to you. Meaning, sometimes you sit in silence and you try to figure out what are some things that you're currently going through. The world has a way of pointing you in directions that you didn't know you was going to go into. And those directions that you choose to move into or you choose to go into, that's where you find your inspiration. What I'm saying is, you don't have to find or take inspiration from another individual because of their personal story. A lot of times people might feed off the hype of somebody else and say, oh, well, this artist is rapping about, cars, or they might be rapping about relationship problems. And those things you're not going through at all. You don't have issues with finances, or you might not have issues with a relationship. So you don't have to fake the funk and try to write about something that you currently are not experiencing. So, like I said, the biggest thing for me, and I definitely don't mind wearing it on my sleeve if somebody calls me a Christian rapper, I take it as yes. Most of the music I'm writing is geared to Christianity, my faith. I have no problem saying that. I wouldn't want to be labeled as anything other. It's like it's some chastising things that I speak on, and a lot of the stuff I write, and I point out the flaws in human nature sometimes that we all fall victim to. So, what I would recommend is you find instrumentals that speak to you and that relate to the things you are going through, or what God has pointed out for you to say, hey, this is something you need to focus on. And what I'm saying is, a lot of times, you don't have to portray and be somebody else or a false image. Just be yourself. Be yourself. Choose that, this is what you really truly want to do. And, go from there. Go from there. Like, the amount of support you will get, I always tell people, like, if I got one or two people that listen to the things that I said, that's good enough for me, because, to be honest, I started going into writing because this was a form of therapy. You know what I'm saying? People, when you get to write down the things that you're going through, or the things that you're feeling or you're expressing, it is a form of therapy. And I recommend that anytime somebody is going through, hardship, stress, to write it out. And you'll be surprised when you get out of that situation. You'll be surprised at how far you came. Your testimony will be so great, and you'll be appreciating all the different things that you went through. You have more appreciation. That's why I always say fasting is a humbling experience, and you appreciate, each and every meal, because you start to realize that when it's limited, you have more appreciation to when it's limited. When you are working for something and you putting food on the table and you're earning something is not given to you, and you show more appreciation. That's why I always say you don't want to rush the process. You don't want to procrastinate either. But like when you are currently into being creative and you doing it out of the fact that you see something that needs to be fixed and you write about it, you're trying to fill a void. It's not about no selfish gain. Then, like you said, you open up your mind to letting things come in. Like, you can't never get no fresh new ideas or no different perspective if you come into a situation and the glass is already filled up. It's like detoxing and de-stressing your mind a little bit, trying to get stuff that's not meant for you out, so you can bring things that are beneficial for you in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go into like saying, okay, I want to understand God, but I still want to live my life, portraying a gangster and in the streets, and not contributing to not just society, but humanity. Like, what I'm saying is, like, you can't play both sides. You got to keep it honest with yourself. You got to realize that sometimes you got to make sacrifices. And through making those sacrifices, you have to, realign yourself with values and morals that's fit to where you're trying to be in the first place. And you want to see yourself in 5 years, then you got to start making those type of sacrifices. When you start living that lifestyle, you're going to reflect those things in what you write. Your whole viewpoint going to change. Your viewpoint going to change. You're going to start to, write about things that's like you didn't think you would never ever write about. And like, I'm always shocked of old things that I've written down, and I'll be like, man, oh wow, like, the metaphors is there. But I'm just shocked at the growth. You see the growth, you see your own, trial and tribulation, your own testimony, when you get to reflect on past things that you went through. Like, to be honest, most of these songs that I've written down, that's got 78 of them, was all reflections from 1 year. I haven't written things from like since 2012. I had took a pause and started writing, and now in 2024 I got back to it. But the irony is, like, once you get back on it and you start writing, you're writing with purpose. My thing was, when I was back then, I was just writing to just put some metaphors together and just say, okay, this is some things that I want to talk about. Now music to me is just more so, I don't care who hears it, it's expressive. It's being transparent of the things that I'm experiencing and things that I'm going through. Other people might not be going through it, or they might be going through. That's the way the world works. Sometimes you gravitate towards, or people will gravitate towards you because they can relate to the things that you're going through. You get what I'm saying? Like, at some point, you're gonna realize that, as a man, you're gonna have to grow up. And, I wanna say, speaking on music and the creative process, it's gonna take me to my next topic that I wanted to speak on. Was like,